that are elected. And with that election comes an awesome responsibility. You are in charge of your precinct. You represent your precinct at our executive committee meetings. And I was speaking with Brett last week. We had lunch, and he came up with a really good idea. I know June and Miss Diane Linker, they hold their, where's Miss Linker? I saw her walk in.
She's had surgery on her knee.
Oh, she must have a twin then. I thought I saw her walking in. So many precincts hold meetings monthly, and they just hold them among their precinct. And as we know, you get high attendance at the start, and then that attendance slowly slips a little bit. And so what Brett has encouraged us to do, and I think it's a great idea, is instead of having individual precinct meetings, let's break our county into regions and have regional meetings with those precincts within that region. I think that builds camaraderie. I think it will help us further grow our party. And so that's some things that we will be discussing more in the future. Of course, if you have any specific questions about your role as an EC, feel free to reach out to myself or anybody that has served on the EC previously. Now, one thing I don't want to forget is our elected officials that are here with us today. I see County Councilwoman Harriet Holman. She's with us tonight. I see County Councilman David Chinnis. He's with us tonight. County Council Chairman Todd Friddle. County Councilman Eddie Crosby. State Representative Robbie Robbins. County Councilman Bill Hearn. Did I miss anybody? Are there any school board members? All right, well, I appreciate it. So tonight, the way tonight is going to work is, as you know, our state chairman's schedule is very busy. Running a state party is very taxing on your schedule, and we've been trying for months to get him down here. And every year since I've been chairman, Chairman McKissick has come to give us an update on things that are going on at the state party. And one thing I know, as a chairman here, we're a lot more successful when we work together than when we don't work together. And that's one thing that Chairman McKissick has really done as our state chairman. So the way we're going to work is he's going to speak for some time to give an update on the state party. We had some questions submitted, and I'll randomly pull those out of the jar. And then once we get past that section, if we have any announcements, I do know that we have some other candidates here that wish to speak, so they can speak. Or if you have an announcement for your particular club, we'll do that at a time. So at this time, if you'll please welcome our South Carolina Republican Chairman, Drew McKissick.
Thank you. Thank y'all. And y'all give Stephen a round of applause for everything he's done here for the county. I really appreciate him and all that he's done and helped to grow the party here, because at the end of the day, that's what matters. We're either growing or we're not growing. At the end of the day, this is about arithmetic and what we do to bring more people into the party and also get it organized. Because if that doesn't happen, then good things don't happen on election day. Sincerely appreciate that. Y'all got a good chairman. So again, thank you, Stephen. By the way, are y'all getting ready to have a meeting of county council? Because I think I've got 5 of you here, right? I mean, it's just like we're just covered under some state law that we need to know about, that y'all can all be in the same room and not do business. Well, thank y'all for being here too. By the way, I just want to get all of you, if you would, give a round of appreciation for all of our elected officials, not just our elected officials, but our candidates as well. I mean, the bottom line is we can't beat somebody with nobody. We've got to have people who are willing to be candidates. And nowadays it gets harder and harder. You know, they can tell you they don't just run, their whole family runs anymore. And the more difficult that it gets for good people and their families to be able to offer themselves for office, sometimes the harder it can be for us to recruit candidates. And so I thank God all the time for people who are willing to offer themselves for office. Y'all give all of our candidates a much appreciated it doesn't matter. It truly matters. You can't be somebody with nobody, and if you don't win, you don't get to make policy. So it makes a big difference. I appreciate that. So thank all of you, by the way, for being a part of this process. As Stephen said, this is where we build the grassroots. This is the bottom of the pyramid. We work our way up from here. And this is how we put the structure in place that we need in order to win. And at the end of the day, that's why we're here. There are a lot of wonderful organizations in what I call the Republican ecosystem. Conservative groups from everything from policy groups from Heritage Foundation all the way down to caucus committees to you name it. A lot of great Republican and conservative groups out there, and they've all got their role. None of them, though, do what we do. We are the only group that is an official campaign committee. Our job is to win the campaigns. If we didn't exist, they would all be sitting around one day, talking about the wonderful ideas they have for public policy. And then they would say, we probably need to create a committee that just focuses on winning the campaigns. And that's what we are. That's our job. And we got a lot of things that go into doing that job, but at the end of the day, that's what we have to do. We have to win. We have to put together the plan to win, get the resources together to win, recruit the candidates, fine-tune the message, and then organize and go win, get out our voting relation day, so that then we can then have elected officials who can help with public policy. That's our job. And there's several things that go into that, and what I call political fundamentals, the things that I focused on relentlessly since I've been state chairman, and also, even prior to that, my time working in the party, working in conservative organizations, from Christian Coalition to pro-life groups to with the party to helping candidates, working as a consultant sometimes, and working with the party, then working to turn out the vote. So I've been outside the building, if you were, throwing rocks at the building, and I've been inside the building catching the rocks. And I see part of the problem from both sides. And essentially it's the same problem. The problem is apathy. Not enough people who think like we do actually get involved in the process. What can we do better to actually get more people who think like we do in the process? Doing the things that they like to do. And part of our job is to put out what I call the buffet table of activism. What are the different things that people like to do that they can get involved in? Because if they like doing it, they're more likely to do it, enjoy doing it, and hopefully invite somebody else with them to come do it next time. And that grows the party. What are we doing to actually put out that opportunities of activism that they can find? And that's part of our job as a party organization, at the county level and at the state level. Because without people, the party doesn't grow. Politics is simple. It's spelled P-E-O-P-L-E. And we got no people, we're not growing, then we got no organization. We got no organization, then we're not going to have a good campaign. We don't have a good campaign, then we're not going to have the victories that we want, and that means we're not going to have the policies that we want. Focus on getting the people in who want to work together with other like-minded conservatives. Again, working together to actually build so we can turn out our votes and win. And there are fundamentals to that. Three key things that we focused on. One is our message. What is our message? Our platform. And we've got, I think, the most conservative platform we've had since I've been involved in the party here in South Carolina for about 35 years now, since I got out of college. That's the consensus document, if you will, of what we believe, why we believe what we believe. And that's what a party is a group of people who come together around a consensus. Everybody, can't get everything they want, but what do we all agree on as much as possible? That then comprises our platform. I think we will probably, everybody here this evening would agree on 95% of everything that's in our platform, most likely. We probably disagree though from day to day over what's the most important thing in our platform. And a lot of that has to do with what's the last thing that affected us in our lives. The last pothole we ran over, the last tax bill we got, the last outrageous thing we saw on Fox News, or what's going on in the legislature, or a school board, city council, or whatever. Everybody's going through life and gets hit by different things at different times. So we've got different priorities from time to time, and they change. But we've got that common consensus of what we believe. Those ideas, and I would say the commonality of that platform, and as that platform has become more conservative over the years, is tracked with the growth that we've seen as a party around this state. Because people are attracted to those ideas. The more that we do to get out those ideas, the more people respond to them, the better that we do as a party. So the message is the first thing. And that applies, and by the way, these three things apply to everybody. Every political organization, whether you're running for school board or you're running for president of the United States, whether you've got a county party, a state party, or any other political group, there are three fundamentals. One is the message. And how do we deliver the message? Do we do it in a way that helps people see what we believe in a way that's relevant to what they care about? If they don't think that we're relevant, if they don't think that our message is relevant to their lives, they're not going to get involved, they're not going to help. If they believe it's relevant, then they will. How many of you remember Lee Atwater? Remember Lee? Okay. So, Lee is a consultant as well, went on to become Republican National Committee chairman. And he used to say incessantly, so much so that I had a sign with his quote on it made up, and I put it in my office years ago. He said, "Issues win campaigns." Wow. People care about issues. People will get motivated because of issues. People will give money because of issues. They'll knock on doors because of issues. They'll walk the streets, put up yard signs, make phone calls, whatever. And those issues vary, person to person, priority to priority, like I said, within the context of our platform. but people will get involved and engaged because of those issues. So the job of the candidate and then the job of the party is to find out what those key issues are in any environment and help push those buttons to get those people engaged so we can actually turn out our votes and win. Issues matter. How we communicate those issues matter in a way that's relevant to people. That's the first thing that we have to do. Second thing is organization. We have to organize, put the manpower together. What are we doing to actually identify more people that think like we do and get them inside the tent, working with us and helping turn out our votes and win? You gotta have the organization. Again, politics is spelled P-E-O-P-L-E. It's not complicated. And then the third key thing that we have to do is raise the money to make number one and number two possible. That's it. That's the fundamentals of what we do as a party and what we need to focus on as a party. There are other things that we do on the side, but everything at the end of the day should focus around one of those three things. And if we do the fundamentals well, other good stuff can happen. You know, we can create an environment where other people can come in and be productive and be fruitful. That's wonderful. If we get sidetracked from those fundamentals, though, start focusing on something else other than those key fundamentals, we begin to lose ground. And we can begin to lose ground and then see division. And then we can fail in communicating our message. We can have other problems. What are we doing to actually get those key fundamentals done? So, over the course of the last, 6 years now, by way of just looking back on some of those things. First off, obviously, as I pointed out, from a platform standpoint, I think our platform is the most conservative it's ever been. We modified it a little bit, actually, in 18, I believe it was, to make it more approachable for people. We used to have this platform that was about 40 pages long, or 45, if I remember. And, the problem is, it's kind of, when your document is that long, how many people can actually read through the entire thing? So we put together a platform committee that year to take the platform, not change any of our issue positions, but actually just shorten the rhetoric where we could get it into sort of what we would think of as a pocket constitution style document. So it can be used as a marketing document, something that our county party officers can give out to other people. And this is what our party believes in. This is what we stand for. And to make it more approachable. And I think that's been helpful. I know it's been helpful to a lot of, especially smaller county parties in rural areas where they're looking to bring new folks into the party who haven't thought of themselves as Republicans. So that's on the messaging side. But on the organizational side, where have we grown from? So we've gone from, in 17, to out of 46 counties, we only had 41 that were actually organized around the state. Today, we're organized in all 46 counties all across the state, all 46. And not only organized at the, at the county level, but then down at the precinct level in those places. There are several counties right now in the PD part of the state. We think of, old Democrat Tobacco Road territory, where, we couldn't even find anybody to sort of wear the hat, so to speak, agree to be the chairman, just volunteer, associate the name of the party. Where now, we would have an organizational meeting and 60 people show up. That's happened in places like Marlborough County. That's happened in places like Dillon County. We had 40 people, I believe it was, show up in an organization in Dillon County. Again, rural, Democrat country where we haven't won a countywide race up until 2 years ago in 150 years. And it matters now. More people wanting to get involved. And we've gone from, at the local level, to I believe it was somewhere in the neighborhood of 4,200 people, I believe it was. From the precinct level on up to around 11,000, I believe it is now, something like that, total statewide. That's manpower. That's more people who get engaged locally, end up working with campaigns and candidates. Because if you're running for office, these guys here, your county councilmen know, first thing you want to do when you decide to put your name on the line and offer yourself for office is find other people as crazy as you are and want to help you out, right? I mean, you're looking for people who are willing to help you, knock doors, make phone calls, reach out. That's the talent pool now that we have to pull from. We've more than doubled the size of the talent pool in this state in the last 6 years. That's key. That's more manpower. And then when you look at on the fundraising side, we've gone from, by the way, how many of you are Elephant Club members? You familiar with the Elephant Club? So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we've got 7 or 8 here. Okay. Highly recommend it. Yeah, we'll see you later and I can give you a brochure. So the Elephant Club started back in 1967. And it was $10 a month, $120 a year, and you get a ticket to the dinner. That was the deal. And Ronald Reagan was the inaugural speaker at First Elephant Club gave. And so now we're moving into year 55 today. It's been going strong ever since. But when I walked in the door though in 17, the dues were still $10 a month or $120 a year. Y'all heard of inflation before? No way. We have a little bit of that now. There's been a lot of inflation since 1967, and what had happened was they never went up on the dues, so they started charging people for the tickets for the dinner. So people would think, well, why would I be a member of the club if I just could buy a ticket to dinner, right? So you had so few people members of the club. At the time, I think it was 13 people were Elephant Club members, paying regular dues. So we doubled the dues, but then we added extra levels, gold and chairman circle, depending on how many tickets you wanted to dinner, and some other features that we add to that. And we've taken that from 13 people in 17 to 1,375 today, I believe, in total around the state. And the average value of those donors to the party is about, depending on what level they give at, I think it's $377 a year. So you do the math. You see now what we have in terms of resources. Now we can hire more staff, and that's a constant stream of revenue that's coming into the party over a month-to-month basis generally. Most people pay monthly dues, some pay annually. But that kind of revenue then helps us hire more staff, helps us do more things that we can put in line for the general election, and to help our candidates, training and other things like that. That's the fuel that helps it go. That then helps us in our major donor program. Major donors, we're going and we're asking for, we technically would consider anything over $1,000 a major donor contribution. But we've got people who will, write generous checks to the party, $5,000, $10,000. We've got a couple who give $50 a year. It's easier for us to go to major donors and businesses and ask them to give contributions to the party if the grassroots of the party are already funding the work of the party. Then we can go to them and we can say, we'd love you to put in $25,000 to help fund a voter registration project in Charleston County. Nobody wants to just pay bills. You don't want to go to them and say, I need you to give us $25,000 to pay bills. That's not sexy. Nobody likes to do that. So the point is, with the Elephant Club dues, now we're covering the cost of regular business, staff, and then you have the donors who can come in and help pay for projects. And that's helped us grow. And what we've seen over the course of the last 6 years is a total of, I think it's a little over $13 million we've been able to raise for the party statewide through these last 3 cycles. And what we've been able to do with that is we've seen in the elections. So in the political implications of all that, thinking about our messaging, thinking about our organization, and then thinking about now our fundraising and what that's enabled us to do, leads to the political results that we've seen. And in the last several cycles now, we've seen, number one, the most races won for Republicans in South Carolina statewide in over 150 years, period, all across the state. So we won in counties, again, that we haven't won since Sherman left town. I mean, seriously. Think about the state house. We flipped 8 state house seats in this last election. We flipped, I think it was 3, the one prior to that, and 3 Senate seats and the one prior to that. And again, one of those was in Jasper in Hampton County. Another one was in Clarendon County. Where's our vice chair? She's right back in the back. Clarendon County, right back there. First state house seat we've held there since after the Civil War. Greenwood County, another one like that. Just incredible victories that we were able to win because we had the manpower, we had the money to actually been fun to get out the vote program. And on top of that, obviously we, re-elected Senator Tim Scott, got 64.5% of the vote, I believe, I think it was. A couple points shy of strong Thurman's record. Re-elected Governor McMaster with a 30-year margin, record margin for a Republican candidate. And then in addition to the state house seats, the down ballot stuff. The biggest thing for me, which is a measure I think of our success as a party, is straight ticket voting. We are one of, I believe it's 8 states that still have straight ticket voting. And, everybody here, I'm sure, has for a long time considered South Carolina to be a red state, right? If you're new to, how many of you are new to South Carolina, by the way? So you've been here less than a year or two? Couple over here? Okay. I mean, you probably would have thought of South Carolina as a red state, say for the last, I don't know, 10 years or more. First time in the history of South Carolina that we beat Democrats on straight ticket voting was just 7 years ago in the history of our state. We've had people, we've been voting Republican for president for a long time. Every Republican since Eisenhower, other than the mistake with the guy from Georgia back in 1976, but we got back on the right path. But you have a lot of people that will split their ticket. So they were voting Republican for president, but they vote, Democrat for Senate and governor and everything the rest of the way down. And then a cycle or two later, they vote Republican for president, and maybe governor and senator, and then Democrat the rest of the way down. And that line where they were splitting their ticket kept getting lower and lower and lower. And our county council guys can attest to that now. You've got more people who are voting Republican at the local level. And, as that line kept going down, running at the same time, you've had what's happening to the Democrat Party. And you're having them just, go all woke and insane. And running normal, traditional Americans away from them as fast as they can. And then contrast that with our platform and our issues and our candidates. And what it's enabled us to do is to beat them in each cycle for the last 4 cycles now on straight ticket voting. We beat them in 2016 for the first time on straight ticket by 2 points. 2 points. First time in history. In 18, we beat them by 8 points. In 20, we beat them by 17 points. Last November, we beat them by 27 points statewide on straight ticket voting. 27 points. That brings in the votes for our down ticket candidates. Think about those state house candidates, those races we flipped. Think about county councils we flipped, sheriffs we flipped, etc. All because of that straight ticket vote. Now we have people who can get on our ticket, and they can't raise the money they want to raise, or they don't have all the manpower that they would like to have as a candidate. But they can get on our ticket and they can get the benefit of those straight ticket supporters who are supporting the Republican Party. That's the benefit we get when we do the kind of organizational work that we've done. We put together the resources that we need and then communicate our message. And when we do that, it works. And it's been working, and I think it will continue to work. But the main thing is having you involved in it and more people involved in it. And when we do that, in my opinion, we'll continue to be successful and beat Democrats up and down the ballot and all across this state. And again, y'all make that possible. So I want to come here tonight and say thank you for that and for everything you've done. Stephen?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So right now we'll go into our question and answer period. These questions are going to be selected randomly. But I did want to highlight when the chairman talked about county council in Dorchester County last year, we were very thrilled to elect County Councilwoman Harriet Holman. If you all, most of you probably know, but County Councilwoman Harriet Holman was a Democrat. She was a conservative Democrat, first elected in 2018. And she switched parties in 2022 because she was tired of seeing the direction her party was going in. And Chairman McKissick was very critical in helping us make that happen. And her story actually went national. And I still remember her getting emails from all over the country, California, Oregon, and all these places, commending her for her courage. And Ms. Holman is leading our efforts in minority outreach and bringing in minorities into our party because, like the chairman said, our platform does resonate with everyone that loves America. She did. Yeah, she was on Fox, I think, 3 or 4 times, and she was on Newsmax. And there were a lot of mornings we woke up at 5 a.m. and had to get to Mount Pleasant. So,
by the way, that makes the last Democrat in Dorchester County, right? We've got every single seat in Dorchester County now, countywide. Yes. Every single seat in Dorchester County now held by Republicans. So we are going to give a round of applause for that.
Okay, this is what's the difference between a Republican and a rhino? What are you?
So I think for most people, sometimes it's anybody who was there 5 minutes longer than they had. And then some people, maybe it's something different. I mean, to me, we've got, as I pointed out earlier, I think probably 95% of us will agree on what's in our platform, but we'll disagree from time to time over the priorities. And then within that, you've got people who will agree on what they want to do and agree on the priorities, but they don't always agree on how. We've got sometimes, I would say, even people in the legislature who they feel the very same way on a particular issue, but they'll disagree over how they want to get it done. Well, that doesn't make one or the other of them a rhino. If they agree on what we want to do, they just need to get together, finally come together and compromise on how to get it done. And I think we can look. And you mentioned earlier talking about the heartbeat bill. We saw the biggest pro-life victory in the history of South Carolina a little over a year and a half ago, when that legislation passed. And it was something we've been pushing for as a party for a long time. And we actually saw it happen, saw it get done. I was there for the signing ceremony. Then we get a state Supreme Court that by a 3-2 vote does the same thing that the U.S. Supreme Court did back in the 70s, and squinted a little bit, looked sideways, and thought they saw a privacy right. And fortunately, we have changed one of those three that were in the majority, and I think we're going to get a second bite in the apple and fix that issue.
This is a question a lot of people have been concerned about. Mr. Chairman, why did you take over the Greenville GOP in 2023, the reorg? Was it personal between you and the Greenville County Chairman?
Well, the main thing is the state executive committee took over the Greenville County Party reorganization. That was not me personally. That was Greenville County, the state executive committee. And the bottom line was it went back to a series of rules violations repeatedly. And quite frankly, state executive committee got tired of it. And at the end of the day, how the party is organized is a reflection on the state party. The state party has a set of rules, how we're supposed to organize, how we're supposed to do business. And when people were repeatedly flouting the rules, then state executive committee voted to actually manage the reorganization process, and it's over with now.
What is your proudest accomplishment as South Carolina Republican Chairman?
Proudest accomplishment? That's a long list. I think, that straight ticket voting is big to me because, it goes beyond just any individual issue. It goes to what people and how people see our party, how people see our candidates, and then it's something that helps our candidates actually get elected. I'm sure most of y'all in here are just like me. You got involved because you wanted to have an impact on things that you care about. And other than that, why are we here? We're not doing that, and we're just a social organization. We're here to make a difference about stuff. That straight ticket support is an expression of what we have collectively been able to do and the difference we've been able to make in how people perceive our party, how they think about our party and our candidates. And as a result, that has enabled us as a party and our elected officials to do good things on the issues that we do care about.
Why did the RNC delegates overwhelmingly re-elect the chairwoman, Ronna McDaniel? Ronna formed an outreach group, RNC Pride Coalition.
So, first off, it was, what was it, 110 votes I think she got or something like that. I think it was 110. I think there were 51 that were against her, if I remember right. And I can say, having gone through and sat through and watched that while I was at the same time, running for co-chairman, and I didn't get involved in the chairman's race. I stayed out of it because I took the advice that I normally give candidates, and that's run your own campaign. Don't get involved in somebody else's race. If you're running for office, run your campaign. And that's what I did. And the other candidates chose to get involved in that race, and I think that might have hurt them. And I was in a position then to be able to get support from both sides, if you will. At the end of the day, I believe there were 51 votes against her that supported her challenger. And in my race, I got 90 votes. So that tells me 50 of the folks who supported me were supporting the challenger, most likely, and 40 of them were supporting the current chairman. And it puts me in a good position to build some bridges in the committee, quite frankly. There's some divisions in there, but, once the process is over, it's like an arranged marriage. Now you got to go work together and go win. This is the committee we have, this is the leadership we've elected, and now we have to work together and get our candidates elected. And the main thing is what we need to do to get Joe Biden out of the White House in 2024. I think we can all get on the same page with that, including taking back the U.S. Senate. And that comes back to sitting down with the people who've been elected to do the job. Again, I think I'm in a good position to build some bridges now in the National Committee because of that.
Please explain your position on the SCGOP's responsibilities to hold accountable those elected officials who identify as a Republican but abdicate or vote for legislation in opposition to the Republican Party platform.
So it depends on what you're talking about specifically when you talk about in opposition to the platform. Now, so a couple things that we do. So, for instance, there are things that we come together around, just like he was explaining earlier that you did as a county party around legislative agenda. We do something very similar with the state executive committee. We have legislative priorities. 2 years ago, our number one legislative priority was passing the election integrity bill. That was number one, top of the list. We had some other things we wanted to do, but everything else was going to come second to that. And at the end of the day, we got it passed. We got, I think it was 17 out of the 18 items that we wanted in that bill into that bill. Most stringent election integrity bill in the country, or something along those lines. Other issues like the pro-life issue when it comes to abortion. There are certain things that are obviously at the top of our list legislatively that we want to get done. We'll engage in lobbying on those issues, grassroots lobbying, if you will. And we put out, I'm sure a lot of you receive action alerts about the issues, letting you know what's coming up for a vote, contact your House member, contact your senator, whatever it may be. And we're careful about how far we go down the line with that, because we want to keep that focused on things that are core to our platform, where we know we've got as broad of agreement as possible within the party. And then we start splitting hairs with people, well then, next time we need somebody on a different bill and a different issue, it might make it harder to get them on board. One of the things I think we probably all learned when we were younger was get more, flies with honey than you do vinegar. And sometimes it helps to actually spend more time thanking the ones who do right, when they do right, than it does always coming out and trying to get a club and hitting other folks when they're not with you 100% of the time. Sometimes you need to call folks out, but not all the time. Because at the end of the day, they're still there, and you're still going to need them. And the ultimate answer to your question, though, to the question of the person in the audience, is primaries. And I expect, I'm not naming any names, but I think there's going to be some interesting and energetic primaries in the next year. Probably more so on the Senate side than on the House side, quite frankly, because of some of the issues we talked about here this evening. And that's the way it ought to be. Those jobs don't belong to them. They belong to the people of the state. And they have to run for re-election just like everybody else.
This is a good segue about election integrity. Do you believe our elections are secure? And have you seen evidence of fraud? What will you do to ensure safe and sound elections?
So a couple things. One, when it comes to issues here in South Carolina, which is where I've been chairman for the last 3 cycles, the bill that we've got now is, well, I'll even back up even further. The state of our election laws in this state, all the way back prior to us passing this election integrity law, were much, much, much better than other states around the country. Now, that didn't mean that they couldn't be improved. That didn't mean that we weren't able to look at some of the things that went wrong in other states around the country and say, it didn't happen here, but it could happen here if we don't tighten this part of our law up and this part of our law up. And so we took information from several different national election integrity groups, and also the information that we pulled together from the Republican National Committee's Election Integrity Committee after we looked at 2020, what went right, what went wrong, where did it go wrong, why, what went wrong in some other states, and then paired that up with our current state election laws here at the time, and then how we need to tweak that to make it more secure and more conservative. And like I said, I think 17 out of the 18 items, if I remember right, that we had in our wish list actually made it into the bill and ended up passing the House, passing the Senate, and the governor signed it into law. And the result was a couple of things. One, we went from 500,000 absentee mail-in ballots in 2020 statewide to I think it was 40,000 this past year. Now, why did it drop so much? Well, we created a early in-person voting program, early vote, limited to, I believe it's 3 locations per county. They have to be advertised 2 weeks in advance, cannot be changed, so we know where to go poll watch. And you have to show your photo ID, obviously. Much, much more secure. And in order to do absentee anymore, part of the new rule is you don't have to be gone on election day. You've got to be gone essentially for the full 12-day early vote period, which is a lot fewer people. Obviously, you can say they're going to be out of town for 2 weeks. So the result was, for the first time since I've been chairman, and I would say we had 4 of our key election attorneys that have represented the state party for a number of years now, that we always have on call on election day in a war room. We've got other attorneys in different cities around the state, who people are linked up with. If they have a problem, they call the local guy, they call the state office if we need to get somebody on the phone with a judge or whatever we might need to do. This is the first cycle those guys tell me where they didn't have to do anything because the law worked here in South Carolina as a result.
This is a good question to end on. What is the biggest obstacle of Republicans dominating the 2024 elections, and what can we do about it?
Biggest obstacle, I'd say there are two of them. One I mentioned earlier, and that's apathy. Again, there are a lot of folks out there who think like we do, that aren't engaged. They're standing next to you at work, they're sitting next to you at church maybe. They're not engaged. You got to get them engaged. That's part of our job as a party. Who else out there thinks like we do that we don't have involved, we can get them involved? Apathy is a problem. Democrats are not our number one enemy. Socialism is not our number one enemy. Apathy of conservatives is our number one enemy. When we get involved and we show up here, we win elections. We prove it, period. We can win. That's one. And then the second one, though, is division. Politics is about addition and multiplication. Successful politics is. We should let Democrats do the subtracting and dividing. Our job is to add, bring other folks in to think like we do, to multiply, to get them engaged and working to find other folks in their neighborhood. Addition and multiplication. When we do that, we're going to win. If we divide, we're going to have problems. And we saw, y'all here firsthand. You saw in 2018 what can happen when we have division in the party. We have candidates who, after the primaries are over, won't shake hands and work together and support the nominee. We ended up losing a congressional district down here because of that. I hate losing. And the only thing I hate worse than losing is not learning anything from it. And I think we learned, we got to have unity. We got a primary's over, we got to go win. And that's the bottom line. And that's what the party's about. And again, at the end of the day, we're a campaign committee. Our job is to go win campaigns, and we've been doing that better now than at any time in 150 years, and I'm proud to be a part of this organization and help lead all around the state. Thank you.
Let's give a round of applause for our state chairman. Thank you, sir. I'm sure if y'all have more specific questions after, he'll be happy to answer them. At this time, we'll move to our announcement section. Representative Robbins, did you want to speak for a moment about the session or anything, or are you taking a break?
I will briefly.
Come up here so we can hear you.
Okay. I really don't want to try to do a wrap-up yet because we're not through. If y'all have been following us at all, you'll know that we do not have a sine die agreement with the Senate this year. The reason that we don't have an agreement with the Senate this year, we could not agree on who the Comptroller General is going to be. We had our preference for who that would be to fill that role during Mr. Exton's term, and the Senate had a different candidate, and we could not agree on who that person would be. So the governor will appoint the Comptroller General tomorrow at 10 a.m. And because we could not agree, we don't have a sign and die agreement, and the session has not ended. So even though we got to come home today, the governor's going to call us back next week. And I would like to wait until we get the conference reports done and we get the budget done before we give you a legislative wrap-up. Stephen has mentioned some of the things that are really good that we did this year. I'm really excited about some very good conservative measures that we have in place. Really excited about some things that we're going to be able to fund here in Dorchester County through the budget that are going to be very helpful to our citizens. But what I do want to talk to you about tonight, very briefly, is next Tuesday. The governor is going to call us back on Tuesday of next week to deal with the issue of abortion yet again. And I would covet your prayers, and I know that every member of the House would covet your prayers for next Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday, however long it takes. If you have been following this issue at all, the Democrats dropped 1,000 amendments on the desk yesterday. 1,000. So this is Custer's last stand for them. They know what we're doing. They know we have the votes to do it. They know we're going to do it. So they're going to fight as hard as they can to stop us or make it as painful for us as they can make it next week. So I would appreciate your support. Please be in prayer for us as we fight for the unborn. And it's going to be a long week. It's going to be a grueling week. The speaker says we are not going to break. We are going to be in our chairs. We're not going to break for any meals. We're going to go straight through. I expect on Tuesday we'll be there into the wee hours of the morning. And that will continue until we get a bill passed. So I don't know how many of those 1,000 amendments they're going to actually take up. We're going to invoke cloture. We already have to try to speed this process along, but it's going to be tough, and I think we're up to the task. So just again, appreciate any support you can give me and the other members of the Republican delegation in Columbia. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Real quick question. So, without amendments, is there a limitation that y'all can place on how many amendments they're able to put up?
Well, we can't stop them from dropping amendments, but once they do drop the amendments, we can invoke cloture, which limits the time they have on the floor to address the amendments. And that's what we're doing.
It's gonna be a long night. Thank you, sir. I met someone new that arrived tonight who I didn't know was running for state chairman. He asked for just a moment to speak briefly. Mr. Tim Cox.
Thank you, Steve. It's an honor to be here tonight in front of you all. I humble myself because I am a Charlestonian just like y'all. And I want to have your vote because I've been standing in front of the abortion clinic for 32 years in Charleston. And I've seen close to 200,000 children murdered at that one clinic in the 32 years I've been out there. And they talk about passing bills, but it never gets passed. They talk about change, but it never changes. So I'm here to change, to make a change. I want the people's voice to be heard. I want to grow our delegates. I want to work together throughout the whole state so that everyone has a voice, not limit the amount of delegates we have. I want to grow them. And I would appreciate your vote coming up on May 20th. And thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate you coming down. Mr. Davis.
Good evening. I'm Jeff Davis. I am the outgoing chairman of the Greenville County Republican Party and the incoming state executive committee from the Greenville County Republican Party. I'm going to be the state. I'm also running for SCGOP chairman. Why I'm doing it is because I don't want Tim Cox to have to run for chairman. He has to run for chairman because he's fighting to save babies' lives because we cannot get legislation passed. I almost don't know where to start based on the question. I love the questions y'all put out there. There were some great questions. I want you to know I had nothing to do with a single one of those questions. But that tells me y'all are asking the right questions. Why did we sit here and listen about numbers and about getting people elected? It's great to get Republicans elected, but we are ranked, as you've heard me say probably 1,000 times, number 33 out of 50 by CPAC. That's not what Jeff Davis says, that's CPAC. As the most liberal red state in the nation. We are an abortion destination state. This gentleman has had to get up here and talk about, first of all, he's had to stand in front of an abortion clinic, because there's 3 in this state, and Greenville's got one of them, Columbia and Charleston. We need to fix that, but they're all coming here. Why are they coming here? Because legislation was drafted that they knew was unconstitutional. They knew it. This new legislation might be unconstitutional. We just passed school choice. I'm just a regular person. I'm a tax attorney, CPA, been a Republican my entire life. I went to the Senate, I was part of the College Republicans. I just worked, and I hit red all the time. I was one of those straight party ticket guys for a long time, until I got involved in school choice. And guess what? Again, South Carolina has the nation's worst rated school choice program. Why? Why do we have that? Because we are concentrating on getting Republicans elected. I appreciate the councilwoman over here converting from a Democrat to a Republican. That's what I was instructed to do in Greenville with our probate judge. We've had a probate judge that was a Democrat in the state, in Greenville County. We are R plus 20, 60% to 40% at a minimum. I think we actually got more than 65, Republican to Democrat. And we've had a Democrat probate judge for 25 years, at least. Guess what? My predecessors in the Greenville County Republican Party establishment have never run a Republican against this Democrat. So yes, Greenville is now 100% Democrat. 100% Republicans, countywide officers. Not because we converted the Democrat to a Republican, because we ran a Republican and replaced a Democrat. It is not hard to get some. I'm telling you what, if you want, I will get 100% Republicans in this state. You want me to do that? We can do that. Or do you want to get 100% conservatives? You want to get conservative legislation? You want to get South Carolina to be a top 5 CPAC state? Do you want good school choice? Do you want us to stop being an abortion destination state? Do you want judicial reform? We're going to do things differently. I just heard those numbers. I'm a math guy. There's 1,375 members of the Elephant Club, 377.75 cents per. That's $518,000. Multiply that by 6 years, that's $3 million. How much did Mr. McKissick, Chairman McKissick, say that the party's raised? $13 million in the 6 years. You want to know who runs the South Carolina Republican Party? The people that paid that delta, that $10 million. It's not you running the party. It's those people that paid the $50,000, those couple people that paid $50,000 a year. No, I don't want big dollar donors. You want small dollar donors. Everybody here should be part of the Elephant Club. Why are you not? There's not a revenue share. There is zero incentive for me out of Greenville County to tell one human being to ever join the Elephant Club. Joe Callie's, Stevens, why would you do it? You don't get anything back. Our goal with the South Carolina Republican Party, our goal up in Greenville is, you want to talk about people. We want to turn out people. We have grown the Greenville County Republican Party from 4 years ago, 329 people came out. To last 2 years ago, we had 1,899. We actually only increased by 17 people if you take out the 423 that cheated or were harvested ballots 2 years ago, because the party took over our reorg. If I had thought in advance, I would have asked one question. What rule did we break? I have not been given a list or even one rule that we broke. They took over our party reorganization process for 3 reasons. Attempt to win. They thought maybe they could come in. We outnumbered them substantially. So they wanted to win. They did not want us to have the state's biggest convention, because we were going to have Steve Bannon, Carrie Lake, Don Jr. We actually had already rented our location for it. Saturday at 10 a.m., same day as the gun show. You know how many people, we had a facility for 3,000 people. They stopped it. Why? You want to talk about people and the problems being apathy? We don't have a problem with apathy in Greenville County. We don't have a problem with apathy in this entire state. We can win, and we don't have to accept converting Democrats to Republicans. We don't have to accept establishment, weak Republicans. I got an interview today by the Post and Courier. The 2 things I said that are against me, which I was impressed because they were easy ones, was that I'm too much of a purist. Well, I'm a purist. I'm a purist in regards to the platform. That's why we have this platform, right? Why would we have it? Do you know what the mission statement of the South Carolina Republican Party is? To promote the platform and elect Republicans that will enforce it. We're failing. 6 years is enough. We've been number 33. We've been the most liberal red state for the prior 3 years.
Unacceptable.
It's unacceptable. I agree. We've got to do better. We can do better. We have a vision. We have proven it over the past 2 years. We have proven it with every fight, every single thing. They burned down everything in our office. They took everything out. We didn't have one piece of paper. We didn't have one data file. The only thing we actually got, we fortunately got the P1 list from the state party. That's the only thing we got, was the P1 list, one Excel file. And guess what? From one Excel file, we built a machine out of Greenville County that I think the vast majority of people in this state, and I think the majority of the delegates, you run the numbers, I think the majority of the delegates want us to bring what we're doing in Greenville to Columbia and to every county in this state. We are going to grow this party, and we're looking for you to endorse what we're doing. It's an America First slate, and I'll hand it back over. But if anybody's got any questions, we'll be back here afterwards. Thank you.
Who is the chapter president for Moms for Liberty?
Hi, how you doing? My name is Brittany Mahoney. I'm not sure, I guess there's new people here, so I'll introduce myself. I'm the chapter chair for Dorchester County. We have 17 chapters in South Carolina alone, including in the Low Country, Charleston, Berkeley, and Dorchester rounds out the Low Country, even Colleton. So I'm just here to kind of tell you a little bit about what we do, what we don't do, what we're doing now, and kind of give you a little bit of a window into it. So I'm just going to read from the card because I'm just going to stay with what we have. Moms for Liberty is dedicated to fighting for the survival of America by unifying, educating, and empowering parents to defend their parental rights on all levels of government. So what we do, we hold decision makers accountable, or we work to replace them with liberty-minded individuals. We spread awareness and understanding and limit the role of government. We stand together against government overreach and intimidation tactics, which we've encountered a lot lately. We promote teaching principles of liberty in our homes and community. We engage our communities and elected leaders on key issues impacting our families. We activate liberty-minded leaders to serve in elected positions. That's what we are. What we are not. We are not book banners. We are not getting like black money from weird places. We are grassroots. Most of us are moms, dads, grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, sons, daughters. We are grassroots. Period, end of sentence. Book banning, we are not book banning. We just believe, hey, maybe we should get back to reading, writing, and arithmetic and not feeding our children porn. I don't know, which call me crazy. But, so we are not trying to ban books. You can still buy them. You can go on Amazon. It's not a problem. It's not appropriate in the way that they are put out, where the kids can get it and they're listed in the juvenile section. Juveniles 13 to 17. That is a wide span. And some of these books are inappropriate, and they don't even allow us to read it at school board meetings. If you can't even read that book out loud at a school board meeting, why is my 6-year-old reading it?
That's right.
It's disgusting. And Moms for Liberty is one of the groups that have had it. We have had it. We are angry. We have had it. And here in Dorchester, we have what I call the Super Bowl. We have 8 seats open in our school board. And if anybody's been to the school board meetings, they're abysmal. They are not the right people sitting in those seats besides one person, which God bless Kelly Bates, that she has, I'm telling you, she has gone through it. She has made lemonade out of sour, disgusting old lemons. And she's working her ass off, and we need to help her. And this is where we, as a community, have to step up and help her because she's doing whatever she can. There are 8 seats up. I said, I've got every district. I know median income, I know race, I know demographic, I know everything about every spot, and we are going to flip the board. That is going to happen. Charleston County did it, Berkeley County did it, Dorchester's going to do it because we care about our children. Now, I understand some people may not have kids in school, but here's the reality. Here's where you have to look at the school board and understand what they do. They are our foundation of everything. So remember, they will be basically pumping out the lawyers, the legislators, your doctors, your accountants. They are the people in 10 to 20 years that are going to be here on this earth in this county. So that's why it matters. So while we're worried about legislation, which is very huge, what about the kids that are being pumped out right now and what they're teaching them? They are going to be our future. And that's why we're here to make their future better, because the kids are stressed out, they've got anxiety, mental problems, depression. That's just should not be. It should not be. They should be happy and learn about math and reading and writing and playing with their friends. What they have on them now is disgusting. And I'm not talking from an outside source. I'm knee deep into it. I've got 4 children in the school district. 4, count them. 1 special ed. So that's another fight that I have because they have put them last. They have put them last every single time. So I'm in the trenches. I'm talking to parents. I'm at the schools. I'm talking to teachers. DSS is a problem, by the way. Big problem. Big problem. Defund, DHEC, and DSS. So we are going to flip this board. So I'm asking everybody, please come join. If you're not from Dorchester, we've got local chapters. Get involved and keep the people who are already there. Who now, it is a nonpartisan, which is kind of makes it a little more difficult. But please support the people that should be there, and let's turn the board here in Dorchester to help our kids. And also the other thing, legislation-wise, there is a legislation out that we are championing. So it's S743. It is the Parental Bill of Rights. This bill is replicated from Florida. So we want this bill to pass because guess what? From firsthand, parents' rights are being eroded. They are being canceled, they are being silenced, and they are telling us that we cannot choose what our children learn. They don't want to show us the curriculum. They don't want us to choose the books that they read. No, we're choosing the books. We know better than you do. They're going to choose what they're going to do for their mental health. They're hiring all these new counselors to come and deal with their mental health problem that they have caused because they've made them read pornographic books and tell them that they're awful people for, their race or whatever else. So they're basically solving their own problems. That's what's going on right now. And I'm firsthand telling you this, so we need to make the board, we just need to flip it. And we are also doing a fundraiser, so Moms for Dorchester is doing a fundraiser July 11th at the Ponds at 7 p.m. So it's fliptheboard.eventbrite.com. So we are gonna have a great fundraiser that night. We've got a lot of sponsors coming. We've got speakers. We've got people, groups all over the state that are coming to talk, answer questions. Some of the school board questions, we're gonna get your questions answered, and we're also gonna have a nice night. We have entertainment, music, get together, and we wanna network, and we wanna keep Dorchester and the Low Country red and united. So, thank you very much, and
Hey everyone, I'm so excited to be here with you all, so many familiar faces. A lot of you know I announced a few weeks ago that I'm running against Chris Murphy for South Carolina District 98. So thankful to have Katie Arrington's support. If you don't know anything about me, my husband is here in the back. Wade is a veteran. I'm so thankful for him in the service, thankful for the veterans in our state in their service. We've been married almost 18 years. We have 2 girls, 16 and 20. I was trafficked at 13 years of age, halfway across the country through Child Protective Services, was enslaved for 3.5 years, raped, restrained, and unrestrained. I was tortured, I was locked in a box. Man couldn't break me. I escaped at 16 and a half, and I was told that if I ever said anything, my body wouldn't be found. So I'm a fighter. I will show up for work unlike my opponent. I would not block the Protect Women's Sports Act both times it came to committee. And I most certainly would do everything in my power to put our children first, as I'm doing now and I will always continue to do. So I would love to have your support, time, talent, treasure. I have 3 phones to take donations from. We need your support, volunteer, and I also have my book if you're interested in purchasing it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. One last announcement. You all may have seen my email that I sent out, I believe, 2 weeks ago. But I am supporting our chairman, Drew McKissick, for re-election, and I want to tell you why. When I was elected chairman 2 years ago, I was the 3rd youngest chairman in the state, the youngest chairman in Dorchester County history ever elected. And if we want to not only survive but thrive for the next generation, we need people like Drew McKissick that will invest in young people like me. He's been a mentor, he's been a trusted friend, and he didn't ask me to do this tonight, but I feel moved because I believe we have a first in the South presidential primary coming up. If we want to keep that, we need to keep experienced, proven people where we can engage our elected officials. If we want to continue winning races, we have to keep people who have a proven record of winning races in office. So I ask you all that are delegates to consider my support. 2 years ago, I won by 2 votes. 2 votes. This year, I ran unopposed. How did that happen? Because we've united our party around the core ideas we believe in. And I ask that you trust my judgment so that we can keep winning in South Carolina with Chairman Drew McKissick. Thank you. Have a great night.
Still behind.